Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we'll be going through the FreeCodeCamp curriculum like we've been doing. So if you've been following along, we've already done videos for all of this right here. I'll be leaving link to the description below, and if you want to check them out, you can do so. But in this video we'll be building a quiz app, and by building this quiz app we'll be learning accessibility in the web. Web accessibility. So the project we're going to build is this right here. Okay, give me a moment. I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here. Okay, so this is what we'll be building. All right, so as you can see, we have this header here. First, we have this navigation bar here, and then we also have this session here for student info. We have this HTML quiz with this radio buttons, and then CSS quiz with this drop down, and then we also have this text box here, text area here, and then a button and then a footer. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is welcome to the first part of the accessibility quiz. As you are becoming a seasoned HTML and CSS developer, we have started you off with a basic boilerplate. Okay, so there's the boilerplate. We already have our doc type declaration. We have our HTML element. We have the head, and inside the head we've already linked our style sheet, which we have right here. Okay, and then we have our body element as well. So what we want to do is want to start this accessibility journey by providing a lang attribute to the HTML element. So this is the HTML element. We'll give the lang attribute, and the value is going to be EN for English. So this will assist screen readers in identifying the language of the page. Okay. All right, so for step 2, you may already be familiar with the meta element. It is used to specify information about the page, such as title, description, keyword, author, and more. So in this case, we want to give our page a meta element with the appropriate char set. So the char set attribute specifies the character encoding of the page, and nowadays UTF is the only encoding supported by most browsers. So let's give it a meta element. Meta is self-closing, and we'll give it a char set attribute with a value UTF-8. Okay, so let's move on to step 3. Continuing with meta elements, we want to give a viewport definition. Now, a viewport definition tells the browser how to render the page. So it includes one that betters the visual accessibility on mobile and also improves SEO, search engine optimization. All right, so what we want to do is we want to add a viewport definition with the content attribute dealing with the width and initial scale of the page. So let's add first our meta element like so, and then we want to add a viewport. So we'll say name, and then the value of the name attribute is going to be viewport. Then we'll say content. The value of content, first we want to deal with width. We want the width to be the device width. Okay, let's bring our comma, and then we'll also say initial scale. Okay, and the initial scale, want to give it a default of 1.0. All right, on to the next one. Another important element for accessibility and SEO is the description definition. The value of the content attribute is used by search engines to provide a description of your page. So, add a meta element with a name attribute set to description and give it a useful content attribute. Okay, so let's add another meta element. Want to give it a name attribute. The value of this name attribute is going to be description. And then want to give it a content attribute, which will be something about the app we are building. So in this case, we are building an accessibility quiz app. So yeah, so it's a quiz app we are building, and we are building it to learn accessibility. So let's just say FreeCodeCamp accessibility quiz app. All right, you could use any text you want, but it should be something descriptive about what your app or your page is about. Okay, so lastly, in the head element, we want to add a title element, and this is useful for screen readers to understand the content of a page. Furthermore, it's an important part of SEO. So give your page a title that is descriptive and concise. So let's give it a title element. We have our opening title element and our closing title element. And we'll say, let's just say accessibility quiz app. All right. So navigation is a core part of accessibility, and screen readers rely on you, the developer, to provide the structure of your page. So we accomplish this using what we call semantic HTML element. So for example, we have what we call the header, we have the main element, and these are semantic elements. So it helps us to give structure to our page, because for example, when a screen reader sees main element, he knows that okay, this refers, whatever is in the main element is the main content of the page, right? So let's start off by giving our body element a header element like so, and then we're also going to add a main element like so. So within the header, we want to provide context about the page by nesting one image, one h1, and then one nav element. Okay, so we want to nest one image element like so, one h1 element like so, and then one nav element. All right, now the image should point to this URL right here. So I'll just say source, give it a source attribute, and the value is going to be equal to that URL. Now, if you look closely, you can see this FreeCodeCamp logo right here. Okay. Oh, what happened? Okay, let me just write it again. Header, main. All right, so inside our header, I'll just add my img h1, and then finally the nav element, like so. All right, so the img will have a source attribute with the value of this URL here. So I'll just copy it and paste it. And then we also want to have an ID of logo. So let's just give it an ID with the value set to logo. The H1 should contain the text HTML CSS quiz. So I'll just put it here like so. All right. A useful property of an SVG, which is scalable vector graphics, is that it contains a path attribute which allows the image to be scaled without affecting the resolution of the resultant image. So currently the IMG is assuming its default size, which is too large. So if you can see this FreeCodeCamp logo right here, very big, because that's the original size of the SVG. CS has a max function which returns the largest of a set of comma separated values. So for example, we can use img and we say width, and we can give the width a value of max and then give it these parameters. So depending on the parameters we give it, it will be set to the max or the largest the image can be. So in this example, img elements have a minimum width of 250 pixels. Okay, so as you can see here, and as the viewport grows, the image will grow accordingly to be 25% of the viewport width, okay, which we have here. So now what we want to do is we want to set the image using its ID selector. Okay, so to use the ID selector, we use hash and the name of the ID. So in this case, the name of the ID is logo. We bring our curly braces nicely, and we want to set the width to a maximum of 100 pixels, and also want to set it to 18 view width. Okay, so as described in the FreeCodeCamp style guide, the logo should retain an aspect ratio of 35/4 and have padding around the text. So first, we want to change the background color to this. So as you can see, the logo is here, but you can hardly see it because the color is the same as the background element. Okay, so we want to first change the background color. So background color, and we'll give it a value of this right here. Okay, so now as you can see, the FreeCodeCamp logo is visible. All right. Next up, what we want to do is we want to use aspect ratio property. So aspect ratio property, and we want to set it to the desired ratio of 35/4. So 35/4. I don't think this is the right thing. So let's see. So you should use the aspect ratio property. Okay, so we have aspect ratio and 35/4. Let's see if this works. I want to add a padding of 0.4 rem. Okay. So finally, in this video, we want to make the header take up the full width of its parent container. So want to set its height. Let's say header first, and let's set the height to 50 pixels. Let's set the background color to this right here. I'll just copy it and paste it here. Okay, now let's set the display to use flexbox. So we'll say flex. All right, so that will be it for this video. Let's continue in the next video with steps 11 to steps 20. All right, see you in the next one. Oh wait, this does not pass. So let's see what's wrong before we move on. You should give your header a width of 100%. Okay. Okay, so make sure the header take up the full width of its parent container. Okay, so the full width. So let's say width 100%. All right, now this should pass. All right, so that's it. See you in the next one where we continue from here.